Welcome back to another UNC Tar Heels football recruiting podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're checking us out on our growing YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated, I am THI publisher Andrew Judge, joining me as she always does when we talk Carolina football recruiting, our very own Miss Deana King. Deana is also the publisher at ncpreps.com, so go over there for all kinds of in-state recruiting information, not just Tar Heels. She covers it all, and Deana has been very busy of late and will continue to be as the camp season is fully underway. And Deana will do a camp podcast maybe next week. Right now, we are continuing to roll through your advance of the dead period ending, meaning the open period starting for the first time in 15 months. Coaches and prospects can meet face-to-face. Coaches can watch them at camp. They can watch them do all kinds of stuff. So, and now, of course, the kids can take visits. So what we're doing here in this series, we've already run a couple of parts. Now we're focusing on the offensive line. You have identified the main targets in these different position groups for the class of 22. You wrote a piece about it. We ran a couple of days ago. Now we're going to pop up a podcast where we're discussing these kids. And we've got 7 offensive linemen we're going to talk about right now. Really 6, because Trayvon Green, this 3-star kid out of Chester, Virginia, he's already committed. So let's move on to the guy everybody wants to hear about. We'll go ahead and start big, Deana. Zach Rice, the 5-star offensive lineman from Lynchburg. We have probably done more podcasts on him in the last year, or that he's been included in the last year, than probably any offensive lineman since I took over this job as publisher at THI. And we do a lot of recruiting stuff. So Zach Rice, 5-star kid, Lynchburg, Virginia. Everybody on the planet wants him. The Tar Heels are in the mix. So what's the latest with Zach Rice, and what is the visit status of Zach Rice in North Carolina?
UNC has always had really good luck at getting all the other positions, the highly rated kids, the 4 and the 5-star defensive line, quarterback, wide receiver, skill positions, but they haven't got that 5-star offensive tackle, someone that could be the backside blocker of your quote franchise quarterback. So he's a big piece of the puzzle if the Tar Heels can land him. He's supposed to take an unofficial visit to UNC on June 1st, the day that all bedlam happens. That's what I'm going to call it. He does have Carolina in his top 5, and the other 4 are Notre Dame, Ohio State, Virginia, and Alabama. So he's got those 4 schools officials lined up. There's a possibility that he could officially visit UNC, but trying to get all these visits in this June period it don't only affect the kid, but his mom is very involved in his recruitment and getting off of work and all this stuff. So it's a big visit for UNC. The unofficial one is he's no stranger to the Carolina campus. He's been to several games last year, and he has numerous relationships with, Coach Bly and some of the Virginia players that are currently on the Tar Heel team.
June 1st is next Tuesday. He's got 4 lined up. There's 4 full weekends in the month of June. Is that kind of why he hasn't lined up the official with UNC, or is this just a matter of, hey, I want to go to meet Mac Brown in person, Stacey Searles in person. I want to go into the football facilities, see what I think, and then look at making an official visit? Or is there something else at play here?
I don't think he's really put down a timeline when he wants to make his decision. Some say they want to make it over the summer. Some want to take in the whole year and announce later in the year. Really don't know what Zach's preference is. He could possibly have saved that one for a game day atmosphere again. I don't know. I will mention, he was in Keenan last year for 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 fans maybe at the games at Keenan, or was that later on? How many?
I think he was at 2 home games, plus he was at the game at Virginia. I actually saw him in the parking lot that night. He was with a few people who had tickets to the game, so we saw the Tar Heels in person at least 3 times last year. So let me ask you very quickly. You made a few points before, and I want you to make it again. You believe that Carolina is very much in the hunt here, even though they don't have an official just yet. Some people think Carolina is a little further on the outside looking in than you do. So why do you think Carolina has a legit chance here, and why have you not kind of moved on to somebody else in this group?
I think Carolina has a great shot because when I spoke to him, he's not like a lot of other kids that I speak to. He's the first kid I've ever interviewed that talked about the seating arrangements in Kenan Stadium. You know, most time I've been doing this a long time, and I interview hundreds of kids, maybe even thousands. And I've never had one say, well, my grandma, I want her to be comfortable wherever I go to school. And I love UNC's new seats, the chair back, you know, the ones with the back. I want her to be comfortable wherever I go. The transition from the parking decks, whatever, to the facility. He's looking after, people that you're not only recruiting Zach Rice, you're recruiting his whole family, because you're recruiting mom, you're recruiting grandma. I know he does have a family connection to UVA. I believe his grandfather played at Virginia. So I honestly think, there's some big schools. You got Alabama and Notre Dame and Ohio State, and then you have Virginia, North Carolina. I think he's the type of kid that he may stay home. And when I say home, I do consider North Carolina kind of home. I mean, he lives in Lynchburg. It's not a difficult drive
about a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill.
And
which he knew.
In North Carolina, if you drive from Asheville or Knight's Head, 3 hours is basically to Chapel Hill too. So
he knew that. When I talked to him in Virginia Beach late last June, he knew right away how far Chapel Hill was from Lynchburg. He knew it just like that. So Fisher Anderson is a 4-star kid from Franklin, Tennessee, 6'7", 265 pounds, someone that you like a lot. And we think there's a chance Carolina could pick up 2 more offensive linemen. I think that they would. If they do get 2, they would probably be very, very happy if Fisher Anderson is one of the 2.
I remember talking to Fisher. He took a quarantine visit to Chapel Hill, and that day stands out because it was pretty here, and so I'm sure it was pretty on campus. And at that time, I couldn't get in touch. After, I think he went to Virginia and he went to Duke and UNC, and I'd seen maybe some social media posts, and I was trying to reach out to him, but instead I reached out to his good buddy, Eli Sutton, who is a signee in the 21 class. And I said, have you spoke to Fisher? And he's like, yeah, he's he's on campus and everything. And I was talking, I said, well, I hope it's, he's having a good time, the weather. And what stood out with me, Eli was like, well, it's pretty weather where I'm at. He was down I believe in Mexico or something on spring break or something. But Fisher Anderson and Eli are really good buddies. They're in the same area out there in Nashville. He is, by his top, he come out with his top 4, and he's already scheduled his official visit. And all 4 schools are very highly academic schools, as well as athletic playing. His first officials with Northwestern, his second is with Virginia, his third with UNC, and then his final officials with Stanford. The Carolina visits for the weekend of the 18th and 20th. So I think they're going to have a few more prospects that weekend. So it's going to be a huge recruiting weekend for Carolina around the 18th, 20th range.
Yes, Stanford has turned out a lot of pros. Northwestern had 2 first-rounders here a couple weeks ago. Carolina, though, kind of is a nice package because of the trajectory, the NFL stuff, the brand, and, of course, the academics is excellent there as well. Gunnar Givens.
I do think his sister goes to or currently goes or has went to UNC. I think that's another reason they stopped by and checked out UNC. I think he actually possibly went to a lacrosse matchup, and you know how the Carolina lacrosse teams have done this year.
Absolutely. Gunnar Givens from Daleville, Virginia. We've talked about him for about a year now on a lot of these podcasts. 6'6", 275 pounds. You were very positive about where things were moving along with Gunnar Givens in Carolina late last summer and the fall. Where do you stand now on that relationship, and what do you see in the next month or so with what he'll be doing?
He's never been on campus at Carolina, even though he listed them as one of his top 5 schools. A lot of schools are really trying to see where he actually would fit in, offensive line or defensive line. He played Zach Rice football team in the state playoffs the day of the spring game, and that's why neither one of those were unable to come down if they wanted to. But he's right there in Virginia Tech country. I mean, right in their backyard. Yeah. I believe Virginia Tech and Coach Frente has really hit the home, stay home. And I do think Virginia Tech has a great shot of landing him. And he has a lot of people probably in his ears to stay home. So, I don't see him coming to Carolina. And he's had some virtual visits, but he's never been on campus. And I just think Virginia Tech's in the lead, the driver's seat for him.
Keisha Sapp is a 4-star kid from Leesburg, Georgia, 6'4", 310 pounds. He's a name that we didn't really talk about much until maybe the last 4 months or so. So what is going on with him over the next month, and how do you see his relationship with Carolina?
I was checking in with him and to see if he had set any visits, and he had not set any visits. And I later found out that he was going to announce July 3rd where he's going to school. So in talking to him, he said that he possibly wanted to take a fall visit to UNC. But, I know some of these college coaches are really, really particular. Once you commit to them, they don't want you taking official visits to other schools and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen, and for UNC's case, we don't know exactly how many they're going to take. I think they'll take 2 more. They got, like you said, they got Travion Green. I think they could take 2. And
3 total, 2 more.
Yeah. And
so Zach Rice, Fisher Anderson would probably be optimal for the Carolina staff.
The ship may have set sail by the time fall comes around, but I don't know. I think he's a Georgia kid, so he's got some SEC schools. He's right there in SEC country, and he's got a lot of things to stay in that region. But his mom is from Jacksonville, so I'm thinking she's one of the in the military, and she always told Quayshawn that he needed to come up and see the campus at Carolina. She was like, it's so beautiful, and when talking to him, he always said he wanted to come visit. So I don't know. I mean, he may pop in a visit, but I don't see him committing to UNC July 3rd or anything without at least coming and visiting.
And that's Jacksonville, North Carolina, over on the coast. 2 more kids we're going to hit on we haven't talked much about at all. Clayton Henry, 3-star kid from Marietta, Georgia, 6'6", 299. I know next to nothing about him, so fill me in. As you fill me in, you'll be filling everybody else in too.
He goes to Walton High School, and Carolina's recruiting another Walton kid, Marcus Allen, if kid's got a name Marcus Allen, he's got to be really, really good.
He's good at changing directions, huh?
He's a 4-star DB. We're going to be talking about in the DB part of these podcasts, but yeah, he likes Carolina. He wants to visit, Carolina, Mississippi State's on his radar, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. But being from Georgia, he wants to visit Georgia, and he's got such a large family tie to Georgia. His family members went there. We can read the tea leaves. If Georgia hasn't offered him, all those other programs have. If Georgia offers him, it's just going to be a matter of times before he will most likely be a Bulldog if Georgia determines to offer. Now, if Georgia doesn't offer, who knows? I think Carolina is right there with those other schools, Mississippi State, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. So, and they are Georgia's in that recruiting blueprint for Mac, So Georgia's known to produce some good ball players.
Some people are going to wonder about the 3-star rating, and you and I don't get totally hung up on star ratings, especially there's a bunch of 3-star kids that get drafted every year in the NFL. So, but Mac has said many times, we're going to go outside the state to get the great ones. And these last 2 kids on the list, in fact, Trayvon Green's a 3-star kid as well. Keisha Henry and Austin Kawecki, 3-star kids. Kawecki's from Texas. Is this a matter of this staff just identifying someone? They don't care what the star rating is. And in their estimation, someone like Keisha Henry and Austin Kawecki are far higher than whatever someone else's star rating may be, whether it's our network or other networks.
How long's Mac Brown been doing this?
He's been doing it a little bit of time, yeah.
He's got some guys on his staff that's done a little bit too, like Darryl Moody, Sparky Woods, Kenny Brown, and
that's their job, by the way. That's one of the main things they do. They pick apart these kids.
Darryl Moody, he was an NFL scout forever, and I think that's one of the big pluses of him being back with Mac. I mean, he's got somebody on the staff that can tell these players, hey, I know what you need to work on. So identifying kids, I don't think they even look at stars. It's nice to put them in the bios and for the fans and stuff, but I don't think Mac Brown looks at a kid and say, oh, I've got to recruit him because he's a 5-star. There might be a 3-star that he likes better, that fits their scheme better. So,
but the people watching this and the people that read our stuff on our site, the considerable traffic that we generate through various different types of content that we produce, the stuff that gets critiqued the most is when we write about either basketball or football, a 3-star kid, or sometimes in football, a 2-star kid, and people get so hung up on that they can't see beyond that star rating. And I think that's what's important about people understanding what you just said, because most coaching staffs don't ever even look at star ratings.
Well,
if they get a 5, they want it promoted because that helps generate a buzz. But inside that room, that star rating doesn't mean a damn thing.
Travion Stevenson is a 2-star, and people were like, "What? Why are we signing a 2-star?" Well, evidently, Dre Bly, Tommy Thigpen, and Jay Bateman have an idea of what they want. And Travion Stevenson, who is possibly a hybrid linebacker DE, fits what they want. So,
and might we remind people that going into Javonte Williams' state championship game as a senior, he had a 0 rating. And the only reason he was bumped up to a 2 was because Carolina staff saw him that day. They offered him. He did a quick official, and Sunday night, Monday, he popped. And then rivals going to at least give him a 2 for that, for popping to a Power 5 school. So that's why we wanted to explain this to people, because especially along the offensive line, when you got guys like Rice and Anderson and Gibbs and Sapp, Then you have these other names. People are going to ask us the questions, so we just went ahead and answered it. Austin Kawecki is the final kid on this list, 3-star kid out of Frisco, Texas, the home of the FCS championship game. I believe that's where it's played every year. A good buddy of mine's a JMU fan. Every year I say, hey, head into Frisco, Texas, or every other year, because JMU seems to be in that final every other year. So he's 6'3", 261. We have talked about him a couple times in the last, 6 to 8 weeks on a podcast, and just you and I chatting. So what's the latest with him?
He, being from Texas, it's kind of unique to see a Texas guy put down UNC. I mean, we had Braden Locke, a quarterback target that came basically down between Mississippi State and Carolina, and he chose Mississippi State. I think it's the Mac Brown factor being in Texas. A lot of those parents probably remember Longhorn football, what Mac had done for Texas. And, Mac's trying to sow some roots out Midwest. We've seen quite a few offers sprinkled out farther than the Mississippi and stuff. So, but he's a kid that he says he wants to visit UNC unofficially. He's got some officials lined up, Baylor, I think Colorado. But he's like his family, he's got a lot of family ties to Texas Tech. They just recently offered, and it looks like maybe Texas Tech is the team that will probably win out on Austin. So, but it's still interesting to see. Yeah, I haven't spoke to him to see if it was the Mac Brown effect.
To your point about that, by the way, Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska, off the top of my head, kids that have been offered in the last few months in the Midwest, and you got a couple from the Southwest down there with Texas. Maybe it's the Bo Corrales factor. Don't understand.
I don't know.
That. Did you see the video that his dad? Did you see the? And this is Bo's obviously a wide receiver. His dad posted a video on Twitter about a week ago. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and look for it. It's actually on our message board. Bo at 80% is what his dad said. Was in a basketball gym. Jumped up to the rim and was able to hit his head on the rim. He's got some ups. So we can't underestimate the Bo Corrales factor.
I can see Sam throwing it up in the corner. Let Bo go get it.
Well, we got plenty of time to talk about Bo and Sam, what those guys are going to do. We're certainly going to hit on that later this summer. That does it for the Offensive Line podcast. We've got to cram this stuff in over the next week before the official end of the dead period, which ends at midnight next Monday. So Tuesday, we're going to run defensive line. Wednesday will be the DL podcast. Thursday will be linebackers. Friday will be the linebacker podcast. Saturday will be secondary. Sunday will be the secondary podcast. We'll have 2 podcasts we're running on Sunday because we'll conclude our top 25 Tar Heels all time series this week as well. The number 1 ranking and that podcast will also run on Sunday. And by the way, if you were not a subscriber to THI, head on over to TarHeelIllustrated.com for just $8.33 a month, which is like a number 2 at some fast food restaurant. You get to actually be a subscriber and have access to everything that we do on our site. And now is a great time to do it because the dead period's ending. I can assure you David Sisk is going to be going, getting tons of content done. And of course, Miss King is going to be all over the place. In fact, you're going to be in Chapel Hill a couple of days for the Chapel Hill camps. You've got a camp coming up at the end of this month in Durham. You've got a lot of stuff going on. So the only way to get all the nuggets of information they provide is to go to our site, $8.33 a month, and you have access to all that stuff. She's Deana. I'm AJ. Thanks for stopping by.